In this video, we are going to see servlet lifecycle. But before that, in case the question comes on servlet skeleton, you will write what has been taught in practical 1A, that is simple calculator using servlets. Now, whether it is lifecycle of servlet or lifecycle methods of servlet, you can write a similar answer. So what is the entire process? No. How does server initiate everything? So let us start with the concept first. The servlet is loaded. Then the instance of the servlet is created. Once the instance of the servlet is created, the initialization process starts. This is where our init method will come into picture. Once the servlet initialization is done, it has been initialized, then it is ready for handling the request. So it will service the request. Here the service method comes into picture. Once it has handled all the request, you can use the destroy method to signal that the servlet is ready for garbage collection. Once the destroy method has been called, then finally the servlet can be garbage collected. So it is loaded into the memory, instance of the servlet is created, that is instantiated, then it is initialized, that is the init method is called, then it will service multiple requests, so multiple times the service method will be called. Then when you no longer need the servlet, you call the destroy method, and only when the destroy method has been called, it can go for garbage collection. So let us look at the steps. Initialization. So to initialize a servlet, the servlet engine basically locates its class. So servlet class is located. The servlet class may be on the local file system or on the remote file system or some other network. So just locate the class, load it. Now once it is loaded, the instance is created. So once the instance is created, only then it will call the init method. What is the syntax of the init method? It is public void init. Init method will take the argument of servlet config. So servlet config and it throws servlet exception. Now this init method is called only once in the servlet lifecycle. The init method is called only once in the servlet lifecycle. Now comes the runtime. Once the servlet is loaded, it is initialized, everything is done, it is ready for handling the client request. Now, for every client request, the service method is executed in a separate servlet thread. So if there are 5 client requests at a point in time, there will be 5 separate threads running the service method. Understand this. Service method can be called n number of times depending upon how many requests the servlet is receiving. What is the syntax of the service method? Public void service, servlet request, servlet response, throws, servlet exception and IO exception. Okay, now the destruction. You want to give instructions to unload the servlet. You want to close any open connections which are there. You want to close the connection pool. Any cleanup kind of tasks you need to perform, you can do that in the destroy method. Only when the destroy method is called, the servlet is then eligible for garbage collection. Now, whatever resource allocation we have done in init method, those resources should be released in the destroy method. Again, just like init method, destroy method will also run only once. So what is the syntax for destroy method? Public void destroy. Okay. Now in case they ask you how is the working of the servlet, you can use the diagram which I am going to show you in the example below. So again, if they ask you life cycle of servlet application or life cycle methods of servlet, you can pick up some points from this answer as well. Okay, now let us go about this answer. सबसे पहले, where does servlet reside? The servlet resides under the container. So who is going to manage the life cycle of the servlet? The container in which the servlet is placed or the servlet is deployed is going to manage the life cycle of the servlet. Now, In case there is no occurrence of the servlet, the web container will load the servlet class. It will create the instance of the servlet class. Are you able to realize these are the same points we have studied above? So you don't have to study anything separate for this answer. Then, once the instance is created, the initialization takes place by calling which method? Init method. And once the initialization is done, what method is invoked? Service. And service method takes two objects. Which two objects it takes? Request object and response object. And whatever is your whatever is your logic, that will be written in the service method. Okay, so loading the class, creating the instance, calling the init method. The service method will be called repeatedly, and finally I'll call the destroy method. So if you see this answer, it is exactly same as what we have already seen above. So I am not repeating this again. But when only 3 methods are asked, you can cut short your answer to this. That's it for this. Thank you.